Midnight ocean, glass still above, while 300 meters down, a steel shadow slips past unheard. How did we dive from a greased leather rowboat in 1620 to nuclear cities that vanish for months? Who risked the first underwater attack, and which tiny pipe changed a world war? Tonight, we'll ride 4 centuries of submarine leaps, starting small. Oars, valves, batteries, then scaling to missiles and machines without crews. Ready to dive? Let's find out together. The first practical leap, Drebbel on the Thames. The story begins in early 17th century London, where Dutch polymath Cornelius Drebbel built the first navigable submarine for King James I. It wasn't a war machine so much as a working proof. A wooden boat sealed with greased leather, rowed through oar ports, trimmed with bladders for depth control. Contemporary accounts place its trials on the River Thames with a showpiece run from Westminster to Greenwich at roughly 4 to 5 meters depth. An audacious public demo that moved submarines from speculation to reality. Why Drebbel and why then? Drebbel was more than an inventor. He was an engraver, glassworker, and court engineer who tinkered with heat-regulating devices and optical instruments. Exactly the kind of hands-on experimenter the new scientific age rewarded. That breadth made him unusually suited to solve the messy problems of airtightness, buoyancy, and air renewal, and to perform under royal patronage when spectacle mattered as much as science. The idea before the build. Years earlier, English mathematician William Bourne had sketched a submersible concept, 1578, proving the idea existed, but without a working craft. Drebbel's boat is where concept met river water, where the submarine stopped being a drawing and became a demonstrated machine. That single step, it works, is why nearly every later chapter exists.
The experiments that proved it could work, 1600s to 1800s. The timeline begins with Cornelius Drebbel's leather-clad rowing craft on the Thames, more demonstration than weapon, but the first navigable submersible to show controlled movement underwater and stir royal imaginations. A century and a half later, David Bushnell's one-man turtle tried to screw a tine-to charge into the hull of HMS Eagle in New York Harbor. It failed, but it was the first recorded use of a submarine in combat and forced navies to picture sabotage arriving from below. Robert Fulton's Nautilus refined hand power, sails for surface running, and compressed air, still short range but edging submersibles toward practical patrols. Meanwhile, the leap that would someday make subs decisive came from shore. Robert Whitehead's self-propelled torpedo, 1866, a compressed air locomotive that finally gave small hidden boats a standoff punch. From curiosities to service craft, late 1800s to 1914. John Philip Holland's gasoline-electric Holland VII, commissioned by the U.S. Navy in 1900 as USS Holland SS-1, marks the first truly modern naval submarine. Combustion for the surface, batteries for silence underwater, and a torpedo armament that matched mission to machine. Periscopes matured into usable sightlines. Habits formed. Surface to cruise and charge, submerge to attack. By the eve of World War I, several navies maintained submarine flotillas built on this pattern, with training and doctrine catching up to what the technology now allowed. World War I reorders sea traffic, 1914 to 1918. Germany's U-boats turned commerce raiding into strategy, forcing the invention of counter-strategy, convoys, depth charges, and the first organized use of active sound detection. Under the cover title ASDIC, British, French, and American researchers developed early active sonar concepts to find a dived boat with pings instead of luck, a new cat and mouse that would define the century. The war ended without a decisive undersea victor, but left navies convinced that underwater offense and acoustic defense would escalate together.
Interwar ingenuity and a wartime pipe. 1919 to 1945. Between the wars, boats grew in range and reliability. The surprising breakthrough was humble, a snorkel, a retractable air mast that let diesel engines breathe at periscope depth, recharging batteries while the hull stayed under the radar horizon. The Dutch pioneered it on 019/020 before World War II. Germany adopted the idea mid-war as Allied patrols made surfacing lethal. In the Atlantic and Pacific, mainstream designs, German Type 7 and US Gato/Balau, fought a brutal exchange with increasingly capable escorts. Near the end of the war, Germany launched the Type XXI Elektroboot, designed to operate primarily submerged with a streamlined hull and massive battery capacity. Too late to matter in 1945, but it became the blueprint for everyone's post-war boats. The atomic, acoustic, and strategic age, 1945 to 1990. The next step wasn't a new hull shape, but a new heart. USS Nautilus, SSN 571, proved nuclear power at sea, sending the immortal message underway on nuclear power in 1955 and shattering endurance limits. Speed and weeks-long submergence turned submarines from ambushers into true undersea warships. A few years later, USS George Washington, SSBN 598, fired Polaris missiles from beneath the surface, creating the sea-based nuclear deterrent that would define Cold War strategy. Behind the scenes, ocean-spanning hydrophone arrays and ever-quieter machinery made detection a contest of physics and patience, while safety culture hardened after tragedies to standardize quality, testing, and survivability. Quiet endurance and autonomy, 1990s to today. Not every navy can field nuclear boats, so engineers push diesel electrics further. Air-independent propulsion, notably the German Type 212A fuel cell system, let conventional subs loiter underwater for long stretches with almost no acoustic footprint, shrinking the gap with nuclear boats in many coastal missions. Japan then leapt again with JS Oryū, the first operational lithium-ion submarine, trading AIP hardware for vast battery capacity and rapid charging. Quieter, simpler, and tactically flexible. Meanwhile, a new branch is unfolding. XLUUVs, like Boeing's Orca, large autonomous undersea vehicles built for extreme endurance and modular payloads. They hint at a near future where crude subs act as stealthy motherships and undersea robots extend reach, complicate defense, and add persistence no watchbill could sustain. The pipe that quietly rewired a war. Before radar blanketed the seas in WW2, diesel boats survived by servicing to breathe. The Dutch answer, a retractable snorkel, let submarines run engines and recharge while barely showing a mast. Germany adopted it mid-war, and the simple tube suddenly stretched underwater endurance, reshaped tactics, and made hunters far harder to catch. The first kill that doomed its killer. In 1864, the Confederate H.L. Hundley rammed an explosive into USS Housatonic, the first time a submarine sank an enemy ship. Minutes later, Hundley itself went down. Early undersea warfare was as much courage and guesswork as engineering. The day one man said no. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, a Soviet submarine harried by practice depth charges carried a nuclear torpedo. Launch required unanimous approval. Officer Vasily Arkhipov refused. That calm dissent may have prevented a nuclear exchange. Proof that human judgment can outrank machinery. The CIA's secret claw. In the 1970s, the United States built a fake deep-sea mining ship, the Hughes Glomar Explorer, to try to lift a sunken Soviet sub from miles down. Even the PR strategy, we can neither confirm nor deny, became legend. The boat that arrived too late. Germany's Type XXI Elektroboot, streamlined and battery-rich, barely fought, but it set the blueprint for post-war submarines everywhere. Where we are now, modern submarines split into two towering roles. Nuclear-powered deterrent boats quietly patrol with long-range missiles designed to be the last word in national survival. Nuclear attack boats hunt, gather intelligence, insert special forces, and launch precision strikes, faster, quieter, and sensor-richer than ever. Alongside them, high-end conventional boats with air-independent propulsion and increasingly lithium-ion batteries dominate in coastal and choke-point waters, trading raw speed for ghost-like silence. Uncrewed giants are arriving too, extra-large UUVs that can scout, lay sensors, or carry specialized payloads without risking a crew. What's recently improved? Noise is the new armor. Anechoic coatings, isolated machinery, and pump jet propulsors strip away telltale hums. Photonics masts replace traditional periscopes, pushing the control room deeper into the hull and wiring it with panoramic cameras and data fusion. Fuel cell AIP extends submerged endurance for non-nuclear boats, while lithium-ion banks recharge fast and deliver powerful, quiet bursts. Modular bays make subs less one mission only and more Swiss Army knife. Mines today, drones tomorrow. What's next? Expect teaming. Crewed subs acting as stealth motherships for UUV swarms that map, deceive, or strike. Batteries keep improving. Safer, denser chemistries could stretch silent days into silent weeks. AI-assisted acoustics will sift ocean noise for needles others miss. And the seabed. Cables, pipelines, sensors becomes a new, contested undersea frontier. From a greased leather rowboat to reactors that hum for decades, submarines evolve by stacking small ideas, oars, valves, batteries, a simple breathing tube, until the ocean itself became a theater of near silence. Each turning point didn't just add speed or range, it changed how nations thought about time, distance, and risk at sea. Today's boats can vanish for months, listen farther than they can see, and launch machines that scout where no crew could endure. Yet the core promise remains the same as Drebbel's first dive. Go where others can't. Stay longer than they expect. Return with an advantage. Standing at the edge of uncrewed giants and smarter acoustics, the next leap might be less about bigger holes and more about invisible teamwork between humans and swarms. So, what do you think the future holds? Crewed steel cities? Autonomous ghosts? Or a hybrid that quietly rewrites the rules again? If a moment surprised you, the leather-wrapped Thames run, the Dutch snorkel, Type 21's blueprint, Nautilus going nuclear, or today's UUV swarms, tell me which era hit hardest and why. Got a favorite boat or breakthrough you want to unpack next? Type 21 anatomy, Nautilus versus Virginia, AIP versus lithium-ion, or the secret life of SOS? Drop it below and let's build the next episode together. Know someone who loves tech timelines or Cold War chess? Pass this along. They'll enjoy the dive. And if this style works for you, there are more deep dives waiting on the channel whenever you're ready to surface.